AI is going to amplify what's already there. So
Yep.
if you've got rubbish there, that's what you're going to get back.
You know that old adage that we've quoted before, that you won't lose your job to AI, but you'll lose your job to someone using AI.
What is the role that AI is coming in terms of SME organisation?
But by all means, use AI yourself. We're not saying that's a bad
Yeah.
thing. We're encouraging it. It's great for brainstorming and making you realise bits of data you'd forgotten. But add the human filter at the end of it.
Yeah. And I think that's the way it's going to go with AI. I think the businesses and the companies that really adopt AI are going to be able to leverage it massively.
Hello again.
Hello.
We will say that, don't we? We should probably come up with
Something more witty.
or a catchphrase. Some people, always, you imagine TV stars of old used to always start with a bit of a catchphrase. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Do you remember that was?
That was Trevor McDonald, wasn't
That was Robin Day, I think.
it? All right.
Way before your time. You know what Trevor McDonald is? He was the News at 10 guy, wasn't he?
Hello. Yeah, he was okay. And finally, that was his thing.
Oh,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
he did the and finally.
He did the and finally,
Yeah,
and it was
did
like
that
a
very
cat stuck up a tree or something.
Yeah, just to cheer you up before
Cheer
you
you
go
up.
to
It
bed.
was nice, actually. Well, the other night, I know this wasn't what we planned to talk about this, but now that I'm on a roll,
Did we have a plan to talk about
I thought to myself, I just want to watch something that's nice. I don't want to watch anything with anything hectic in it or anything like that. So I started off, I thought, well, I'm going to go watch a nature documentary. Went to watch this documentary about Wales or something, and narrated.
Not the country.
No, not the country. No,
Lots
It
of
was,
nature in Wales.
Wales with a H. And but it was narrated by Barack Obama, and I couldn't get into it.
What about Wales?
Yeah,
What's he doing? Is he hard up or something?
I don't know, but it just didn't work. It didn't. I couldn't.
David Attenborough, yes.
Well, this is the
Barack
thing.
Obama.
Attenborough's ruined all other nature documentaries
I
that
think
he's
you
not
do.
narrating. I think we need some kind of AI
You need
Attenborough
to sound like David Attenborough.
to make it. There's something about the cadence and the tone
Here
and
we
the,
are
just here we are.
In the podcast
Observing
studio.
the podcast. The two males are attempting to
Say
impart
something
knowledge.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, Barack Obama didn't work. Anyway, long story short, ended up watching a documentary about bees. And very interesting.
Did you feel uplifted?
I did, actually. So the horn, it had more, how would you call it, peril than I was anticipating, because the beehive was there, honeybees, and the hornets started to attack the nest.
Ah.
And they feast on the bees, but they like the little larvae. Eventually, they ate their way into the hive, made a hole in.
We should have done a bit of a trigger warning at the beginning
Yeah.
of this episode.
So, yeah, if you're a big fan of hornets, then this isn't going to be a happy ending. And so the bees only have one survival tactic when the hornets get in the nest. Bearing in mind the hornets are like, I don't know, 100 times bigger than them or something.
Oh,
So what they do is they swarm on the hornet and they vibrate their wings and they generate a huge amount of heat from doing that. Somehow that doesn't kill the bees, but it kills the hornet.
So they cook the hornet.
They cook the hornet. Unbelievable.
Wow. Okay.
Fascinating creatures.
How did they discover that? How did evolution get a bee lots of bees all together to vibrate their wings to get hot?
Don't know.
To kill a
Design.
hornet. Running out of options, maybe.
So,
I know. Let's try this one.
pile on.
Exactly.
So yeah, it was fascinating. So yeah, that gave me my little uplifting.
I'm
bit of
pleased
knowledge.
that it was uplifted.
Still wasn't the narration though better than Barack Obama. I don't know who some bee expert was doing it. Just Attenborough though. I was like,
He was in the paper this morning. He's nearly 100.
nearly
By the time this
100.
goes out, it'll be 100, I think. I
Yeah.
don't know when his birthday
Well,
actually is, but
hopefully.
good on him, eh?
Yeah.
Think we'll make it to 100?
I don't know. We'll
What
come back
episode
next
will
week.
we be on then?
We'll come back next week and see whether he did.
Yeah, okay.
It's good innings though, isn't it?
Let's crack in. Shall we do a podcast?
Yeah.
Spare us from this nonsense. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow, where every week we try and come up with something useful or interesting for owners and managers of small and medium-sized businesses. And it's me and Rich again.
Again.
See, our listeners
bit
are
of a run.
treated to another episode with us two imparting whatever we've been thinking about recently.
I think maybe we should do an episode where it's just intro, maybe.
Just intro.
Just the whole 30
Forget
minutes.
actually talking about anything vaguely related to business.
I could, yeah.
Don't even do the shall we do a podcast bit. Just go straight
Just
all the way
go
through.
all the way through. Just
That-
see whether
That might get more listeners.
I fear that by about 15 minutes, it might start getting a little surreal.
What do you mean? Hang on, there's 2 or 3 words in that very short sentence that I have to take challenge with. It might. And a little. Definitely. Yeah. It was already surreal anyway.
Definitely.
We've just talked about how bees kill hornets on the way to a David Attenborough tribute.
There we go.
Comment.
That's the way my mind works.
And we were going to talk about something entirely different anyway.
Very non-linear.
Yes. Well, let's try and help our listeners a bit and keep it a bit
Let's
more
keep it linear by reviewing the last 3 podcasts.
Typically, we talk about the last 3 podcasts. So what number is the one we're doing today?
172.
172.
Out of darts finish. 173, is a prime number, apparently. And it's... This is a little 40.
Right? You don't know that.
So
Miss 169 was a square number, wasn't it?
So I think 173 is a number you can get to if you multiply up or add up all the primes before it or something. That's something special.
Oh, it's kind of a magic number of some sort, is it?
It is, yeah.
Anyway, you should save that for next week.
I should have saved it. Little teaser. I'll tell you what. I will. Can you
clarify
that my ramblings. So anyway, this is 172. So historical episodes then. So 169 is your business sleepwalking into a crisis? Lead indicators.
That was about lead indicators. How far up the lead indicator chain do you go? And more importantly, not only have you got the measures, but do you actually take the blindest minutes and a bit of notice from them?
Meg's actually written it here. So is business.
Yeah.
which led me onto a Brummie accent, which merged into a Cockney accent.
Which led you to mention
Michael Caine, and she'd never heard of him, and I felt very old. So anyway, 170. Looking back to move forward, lessons hidden in your business history. So that's
taking a longer term view, wasn't it? Have we been here before? Do we keep saying we're fixing this and we never do? Blah, blah, blah.
And then 171 was how's your leadership style affecting or shaping your organisation?
So this was
the
trying
insights.
not to be just an intro to the insights personality profile thing or Myers-Briggs or all the others, but more talking about how the whole organisation then changes according to the personality or behavioural profiles of the leader.
Yep.
I thought we had a good discussion on that.
Yeah.
Good. So that brings us to 172. An unremarkable number.
Unremarkable, yep. Just a normal number.
Just a normal number. It's an even number. It's not a darts finish.
It's kind of an odd even number though, isn't it? Because there's 2 odd numbers in the even number.
Does that make it a little bit more interesting? The digits add up to 10. I don't know. We're struggling at scraping the barrel. So what are we talking about today then? It was Sagely Buckle.
We're doing a HubSpot AI vibe. That's what we're doing.
Do you think we've just proved that this episode is not written by AI? It's not good enough yet to come up with the sort of meanderings we come up with.
No.
So AI, we
haven't talked about it for a while, have we?
No, we haven't talked about either HubSpot generally, which, as many listeners will know, to the extreme that we do talk a little bit about, but also AI, which we also talk a bit about, and the two have quite an overlap on the Venn diagram these days.
They do indeed. It's sort of moved on.
So I think we've talked before. We've done a couple of episodes before talking about various aspects of it. So this is a bit of an update.
And I think the sort of the meta narrative, as you would call it, the big picture. The big picture is the sort of evolution of HubSpot from being a marketing automation platform to, over the last sort of 5 years, they've talked more about being a platform. So something that your entire business can run off in terms of sales, marketing, service, integrating into other areas, ERPs, etc., accounting software, that type of thing. And more recently, and we did a podcast episode on this, and I can't remember the number top of my head, but we discussed the book called Co-Intelligence. It's becoming an AI teammate. It's more how it's becoming positioned.
I think they're trying to do, in a way, what Microsoft has done with Copilot, and they've almost grabbed the name Copilot, haven't they, Microsoft? And they have you noticed, I don't know if you ever log into the web version of Microsoft, but rather than going to the admin panel now or the portal head thing, it's now constructed like a ChatGPT window, Copilot window. So you just have to ask it in natural language what you want, and it'll take you to the right place. So they've replaced the whole concept of navigation bars and menus, and it's just a what do you want prompt. And it's a bit disconcerting, really, because I was familiar with the menus. I knew where I wanted to go and what I didn't want. And I've not really got used to it yet. So I'm interested in other people's views on that.
I just keep getting a message saying that my inbox is 91% full. So probably by about June, you won't be able to send me an email.
Hey, Blissful days.
This could work out for everybody.
You can throttle it and just if one out, one in. You have to delete a message to get a new one, and then you see whether you like it.
There we go.
So where are we at with AI then? So there's a number of different parts of this.
Yes. So there's a couple of areas within HubSpot. Some of them that we can talk through.
Yep.
I guess the first one really is the AI agent.
Yeah, we've talked about the prospecting agent before, I think.
Yeah.
Bit of an update on that. So for those that don't know, the prospecting agent within HubSpot, you tack it under the the front end of your prospecting activities, your outbound activities.
Yep.
Feed it with some context that you've got emails for. It will go away, assuming it's a work email, so it can work out the company, or it's associated within HubSpot. It'll go and do a load of research on that company based on its own crawlings around the web, and take some LinkedIn stuff, and obviously from the company's own data and all that stuff. And it will look at the person as well and work out what their job title is.
Yep.
And it will then compose 3 emails. And in the old days, it was reasonably rigid in terms of how it did that, but it did link it across to your service offering, which you told it all about. And it would send those emails out on a periodic basis, every 2 days, until somebody responded.
Yep.
Now, that's had a revamp recently, and they've got new triggers to start that whole process off, including the new signals area within HubSpot.
Yep.
So rather than just being able to respond to when someone has visited your website, let's say, you can now respond to when a company is known to be searching for certain things, or whether a certain person has left or joined a company. It picks up on all those signals, or they've just received new funding from a funding round, or they're in the news or whatever. So that's all quite powerful. But they've also changed the flexibility you have to actually write those emails. So you can give it a lot more guidance now on tone, length, and what you want to say. So that's good. I mean, we've tried it. We've
tried it. We probably need to come back and give it another go, because I think it's been upgraded. I think with all these things, there's the rate of change is quite rapid.
It is huge. The only thing I'm still slightly worried about with all of these email-driven outreaches is that I know from my end, my inbound email gets very well filtered these days. Because I'm using AI to filter it. So it's no longer just down to whether my Microsoft accounts.
I think as well,
spam.
the best inbounds that I've had that I've actually read, normally it's 2 or 3 emails deep in, but when there was one, I think I mentioned it before, where they were reaching out about asking if we wanted to sell Magic Minutes, and they are a SaaS company. And that the first 2 emails I ignored, but the third one I got sent a GIF, and it was just this, Pablo Escobar on his swing on his own type of thing, and it's like, you've just left me here kind of, and that just cracked me up. And so I just thought, okay, I'll respond, and we had a conversation. I'll reward that with a response. I don't think AI is at that point even close yet where it would go to that. I mean, maybe if you really prompted it and said, I want you to put a GIF in or something, but it just doesn't have that.
Well, maybe we should do that in our next test then, and really see, are we able to get a bit of humour in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's other things like the company research agent as well. That's quite useful from the point of view of just being able to see whether or not, if you've got a new prospect you're going to see, or if you're going to visit a customer, it can go and do a little research for you on that customer, on that company, and then present that to you. So you've got some interesting updates on the company, that type of thing. We've been using the customer agent as well quite a bit on the website.
Customer agent. Now that needs a little tweak again, but I put that on a couple of months ago. And it is good because it learns, which is great. But I've got it set up so that it is the first responder for certain channels. So if you email us at contact@wellmade.co.uk, you can go and try it because it'll respond to you. And it's been programmed to not say certain things. It won't commit anybody to anything contractual or give prices out and that type of stuff. But it's got access to our knowledge base or our website. And if you're using the service tickets more so than we do in our business, it can access all of that. So that it's learning as it's going along. So it does a reasonably decent job, and you can have a bit of a conversation with it. Yeah. At every point, we've got that overlaid with the chatbot, which decides when to offer the question to the user to say, do you want to speak to a human? And it diverts it across to a human channel. So it's reasonably good. I think it just needs more time to really fine-tune it and get it to say things that you would have said. We don't really have that sort of traffic coming in through anonymous emails. People contact us directly or give us a ring.
So and there's loads of other agents in there. So content agents, data agents, all that type of thing going on. I think this is just not particularly HubSpot related, but I think the use of agents just within SME businesses is going to become very, very powerful.
Yeah.
We're using agents within ClickUp now, which is project management software, to just consolidate a lot of information very quickly. Jobs that someone would have had to have taken, a couple of days to go through multiple projects to summarize where things are at.
Yep.
It's now happening in 5 minutes.
So you can get it to run tasks on a schedule or in response to a trigger. And some of them can do more with the output rather than just giving you information.
Yeah.
They can change settings, update fields, go and do stuff.
Yeah.
And as we know, we've talked about before, some of the browsers now have got agentic capabilities. So you can get it to book flights, book restaurants, all that sort of, update your accounts, whatever you want to do.
So the other thing, which is kind of allied to agents, is the assistants in HubSpot.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure what the distinction is between them, really.
I'm surprised people aren't using this more. Remember, we discovered this quite early on, that you've actually got some mildly agentic behavior in the assistant. But the assistant, for those that haven't come across it, is basically an OpenAI ChatGPT style chat window within HubSpot.
Yep.
But it's got access to all areas.
Yep.
And we'll come on to this in a moment when we do an update on Claude. But ChatGPT has got a data connector, which if you just did it the other way around and went to ChatGPT, having given it permission to access your HubSpot, that's fine in as far as it goes, but it only accesses the main data blocks, the context, the companies and the deals and the tickets. Whereas if you do it from within HubSpot, it's got access to all of its own stuff because it can give itself permission to, and then you can update things. So it's quite handy, really, if you just go somewhere, and a bit like I've just said with the Microsoft login, having got rid of the navigation bar and the menus, you just go into HubSpot Assistant and ask it stuff.
And there's loads of, I think this is probably quite useful for a lot of people. So we're using it just to give some examples of practical real world examples here. So if you'd like an example of this, then by all means we can do that. If we're sending proposals to people for work,
if someone wants a proposal,
then we've got an assistant that will go through and summarize all of the main priorities that company's interested in solving, put that into a property. That property then gets sucked straight into the proposal, and it's quite a neat way of doing it. And I think pretty much, having done a fair number of these now, they're pretty spot on in terms of
and the feedback we get is great because it feeds off all the conversations you've had, and the difference is it's got perfect recall, whereas we as humans don't have. So it may so let's say you've had 3 or 4 meetings with somebody on Zoom or Teams, and maybe an email exchange or several conversation threads. You may have well forgotten something that maybe goes back a month or 2 or longer, which was said right at the beginning, which is still as relevant today, just hasn't cropped up again. And the agent, the assistant, can pick that up and include it in the list. So
that's a good one. Another one that we've done is on things like customer sentiment.
Yeah, client sentiment. We get it to give a summary. I said, Mark, if you get it to run through all your clients, mark them all out of 10 in terms of how happy they are with the service for ongoing clients, and give 3 highlights and 3 lowlights for each client. Yeah, so that's great. That's nice.
Or things like going to do this with research as well. So with this, what did we do for somebody? We did it where we wanted to evaluate whether they were a, kind of high priority, medium, low priority type of customer based on the number of office blocks they might have. Right. And so it went through and did the research on that and then categorized based on those sorts of things. So there's a lot you can do with it to bend it to your, or even just if you're having a conversation. We've talked about this before, I think, on the podcast, where we've been having a conversation with somebody around, how many customers have we got that have got more than 5 machines on their premises? Well, rather than have to go and try and figure that out, just ask the assistant and it comes back, right, you've got 172. Yeah. Right, do you want me to do something with that then?
And then
so
it helps to segment and prioritize.
Art of the possible, I would
Didn't
say.
you do something as well where it was identifying companies that were recruiting at the moment?
That's more the smart CRM.
Go on, tell us about that.
So I can talk about that.
There's a little segue. It's almost
look at that. It's almost like it
Should
was
we talk
planned.
about smart CRM next, Rich?
So smart CRM is, there's a few bits to it, but one of the core bits is the smart properties.
Yep.
So this is where you have a property in HubSpot. So that's like, property would be something like an email field or a name, first name, last name type thing. But you can create what they call a smart property, where you can get the AI to go and actually do something to update that property. So that can either be go and look up some website stuff. That can be go and look at the CRM records, go and look at some meeting notes, etc., and then give me some information back on that property. And these can be automatically updated as well. So, you don't have to do that, but you can. So what we did with a client that was a recruitment organisation specialised in legal pharma, we went and said, right, look at this company, use a smart property to go out onto the web and say, is this company recruiting for particular roles?
Yeah.
It then brings that all back in. There's a massive amount of information. So you have actually just got that as information, but it's not really usable in that sense. So we had another workflow that would run that would then use another AI property to evaluate the previous smart thing and return a result that was either actively recruiting, possibly not recruiting. And that way, out of thousands of companies, we were able to slim it down to, say, 100 companies that are potentially actively recruiting, which is enough then for a salesperson to start managing and working through.
Enough, yeah, manageable number, yeah.
So then we automate the process of saying, right, associate all the contacts with those companies now, enroll them into a sequence. You could potentially then use the prospecting agent. We didn't, we had our own sequence that we had, but you could use the prospecting agent then to go and tailor the responses to that, and you can have that whole automated outreach based off the triggers from the smart properties.
Yeah.
So there's an awful lot you can do with that.
I mean, imagine if one of the key obstacles, I think, often with implementing CRMs generally is resistance from anybody else to do extra work to update it.
Yeah.
And this is now where CRMs are starting to update themselves, which is a dream, really. So you don't have to. So imagine you've come out of a call with somebody, either physically if you've recorded it, or certainly online where it's easier to record it, and you're wanting to assess their qualification status. Is that a qualified lead or not? Yeah. Instead of having to go down and answer a bullet point of questions using Bant or Scotsman or Medpix or whatever you're using, then you just get the AI to say, how qualified is this client? Did they mention budget and timelines and authority levels and so on? Yeah.
So things like that, smart properties, auto enrichment as well is another big thing, HubSpot. So you can get
that's a really big thing. I'm amazed that hasn't moved faster, because that was a really big thing a little while ago. And they bought a company, didn't they, that helped them to do this. But imagine you've just got an email address for somebody. You want to be able to populate both the contact and the company record with as much data as you can get. Yeah. And it's pretty good now, on the company especially. It gets a lot of data, doesn't it? Number of employees, likely revenue figures for it, what sectors are they in, what technology do they use, tech stack.
And then you can start tracking certain things that they're doing as well. So you've got the tracking intelligence. You've also then got what we talked about before, buyer intent and signals. Yeah. So
the research intent is another one we didn't mention, but that's the one where it's picking up what else they're searching for based on all the cookie stuff that you get. Third-party cookies and things.
So there's a huge amount in that in terms of just a level of intelligence going into the CRM. And again, I suppose the rules, not the rules, but the principle there would be that the better the data you already have in there, the smarter your CRM can become.
Well, you want two things at the same time. You want to have the CRM to help you do your job, to help you sell more and get leads. But at the same time, you want it to reduce the amount of effort it takes you to keep it up to date. So it's doing both of those things. Yeah. Okay, so that's Smart CRM. We said we'd come back to talk about Claude. Did I mention it earlier? Yeah. I think I mentioned that. So a long time ago, we talked about probably as much as 6 months ago in this new rapidly changing environment. But when HubSpot trumpeted the fact that they were the first CRM to have a data connector from ChatGPT, back when most people probably thought ChatGPT was the main AI conversation bot, whatever we had. And now Claude has added one in, but it's different. It's more powerful. So I said earlier that the frustration that everybody had with the ChatGPT one is that whilst you could ask it about contacts, companies, deals and tickets, the main things, it didn't have access to the conversations and other data structures. Well, the Claude one does. Yeah. So you can now ask it those questions we've just said that we were using inside HubSpot using the assistant. What's the sentiment of all the recent conversations with this, or which deal should I work next? And these more sort of esoteric questions. But the other thing that the Claude one can do is update the records, which the ChatGPT one couldn't. So you could get it to say, look at which deals I need to work on next, and then flag that deal by changing the property or changing the priority level, or create a task for me to look at that, or create 10 tasks for the 10 properties and give some context, or whatever your imagination is limited to, really, in terms of asking it the question. So that sounds pretty good, subject to the usual watch outs on any of this stuff for hallucinations.
Well, we're sort of almost into Star Trek territory, aren't we here? Ask the computer and it will go and do something. Computer.
Wow. I think we're there We were there a little while ago, aren't we? Do you not think we're all sort of? Well, you've got a warning story on this where someone has overused the.
I think that you can overdo it. So I think it is good. I think all these things still come with very strong health warnings, don't they? But there's an awful lot of, if you just throw AI at, say, like a website or something, it's going to give you quite a lot of views and things.
Well, especially because it's subjective. And so much of doing business around sales marketing is subjective. Is that a good campaign? Well, tell me how many leads it got. Whereas most people say, I don't like the look of the collateral.
Yeah, and I think as well, it's maybe thinking about things still from like what it thinks is the most efficient route. So, for example, we had a form at the bottom of a website. So, at the bottom of a web page. So you get to the bottom form, you just want to fill the form in. You can then route it accordingly, etc. And it was like, no, take all those out and put a book a call button in there.
Right. Okay.
So you're like, okay, well, what? And that was all. That was what it suggested. Take that out, put book a call because it's a slimmer design, something or whatever.
Right.
So okay, so what does that mean? So what does book a call? Where does that go?
Yeah.
So
and also, how does it know that your particular ICP would prefer to book a call rather than fill in a form? Because that's a very personal choice.
So then you've got an option to say, well, do you mean like a HubSpot meeting book a call type of? You're going to go in someone's calendar, in which case everyone's going to get the diaries blocked up with people who are trying to do things, or are you just going to reroute them to a contact page to fill in the same form there, which they could have just filled in? And that's always annoying, right? As soon as someone says, right, click a button and it just takes you to another page to fill a form in, you're going, well, I could have just filled it in on. So I don't think I
don't think everybody wants to have a conversation straight away. You probably want to have a little bit of one-way mirror type discussion to start with. You don't want to reveal my email.
Keep it an email and
okay, now I've learned enough, I'll give you my email, but I'm not asking you to ring me up and whatever. Just want to have a text.
So those sorts of things where I think it's not fully aware of all the context and it's doing quite a, it's going to pick up on what you've looked at before in your chat. Particularly if you've got sort of a chat memory on, like whatever I put now into ChatGPT, I get it. It basically throws out, I could be kind of, give me a recipe for, sausage pasta or something. It's like, would you like me to put that in a 6-box model framework for you? Because you could like, it's like,
you've asked a lot of questions about 6-box model framework.
So, it's the only one that will listen, basically.
No one else will listen to you.
No one else is listening. So
I think you ought to be aware that there's certainly a bias for the information that it has. You're right. And it doesn't always, unless you tell it to explicitly, look for the gaps in information. So there's certainly a recency bias or a data availability bias. You've got to be very careful. But I think also where the example you've got is that if you have even something you've decided on in terms of design cues, that subjective stuff, and you then ask ChatGPT or another AI for an opinion on it, it will come up with something different because otherwise it won't think it's doing its job.
Yeah.
You won't say, oh, that's perfect, nothing's changed. So even if you then change it exactly as it says so and then ask it for an opinion again, it will change it again to something else. And it'll never rest on a solution. It's not as if it's iterating to something better, it's just iterating something different.
And I wonder whether just on that point, just reflecting on some of our recent experiences with this, whether you almost put into your terms of business that reviews have to be done by human, or we won't accept revisions if they've been done by AI type of thing. Or
be careful with it. I
don't know. This
well, that old adage that we've quoted before, that you won't lose your job to AI, but you'll lose your job to someone using AI.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same here. We don't want you to send us raw AI output.
Yeah.
Because then we've got all the work.
We've got
hallucinations on that. Where is it contradicting you? And all that. But by all means, use AI yourself. We're not saying that's a bad thing. We're encouraging it. It's great for brainstorming and making you realize bits of data you'd forgotten. But add the human filter at the end of it.
Yeah.
And work out if you agree with it. It's just another, it's a program spitting out a random collection of words that make sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. And that's where I think people are falling foul of it. They're assuming that what it comes up with has higher credibility or value than if they'd thought about it themselves.
Yes, don't slavishly follow the model, as it were.
But don't use that as an excuse to not use it at all.
Yeah.
And I was away recently and talking to people who are still only just starting to explore the very beginnings of using Copilot or whatever their organization's given them. And so it really does make you realize that the world has got a long way to come. There's some of us that are early adopters and almost worried about going too fast with it, and yet other people who are being able to use it beyond, write an email for me that says this.
Still doing the...
or give me a recipe for sausage pasta. Did you get a recipe for sausage pasta?
You don't really need a recipe for sausage
I
pasta,
was
do you?
thinking, what can it do with sausage pasta?
I mean, basically, if you're asking ChatGPT for a recipe of sausage pasta, you probably shouldn't be in the kitchen.
But if you asked it to come up with a creative twist on sausage pasta, is it going to do something different with, putting a sauce with capers in it or something, or something a bit spicier?
Maybe, yeah. You could get a variant.
Different types of sausages. Three sausage pasta.
3 sausage pasta. Well, you can see what I'm having for tea tonight. I'm actually having Sicilian sausage pasta. That's what we are having. So that's what I bought.
With a bit of sauce around it.
Yeah, we haven't got any tomatoes, so I've got to send Mrs. Buckle out to get some tomatoes.
They have them in shops and everything these days. Well, they're never as good as the homegrown ones, are they?
No.
I just can't be bothered to keep tending them, keeping the animals off them.
I was learning about homogenized milk the other day. Do you know what homogenized milk means? Do you know that's why basically someone invented a spray that sprays all the fat globules out, which is why you don't get any cream rising to the top in your homogenized milk.
Oh, that's what homogenizing does.
That's what homogenizing does.
I used to quite like that bit of cream at the top.
I know.
That's what you want.
So anyway, I'm going back to that, but I'm getting distracted.
No.
So yeah, final things to talk about on AI then. AI content within HubSpot, still probably a little bit ropey on some of the areas.
Well, this is one of those where almost as a principle, I think if you're sending out the message about your company, don't rely on AI to do that for you exclusively. Yeah. It's got to have some human personality in it, and you've got to really believe what it says. And that's better. It comes from you.
Yeah.
So once again, use it as ideas and internalize it and adapt it, but not just use it to produce everything for you.
But and I think there's probably, we've talked before about things like HeyGen from a content point of view that integrates with HubSpot, like use the AI to drive the data that creates some content. That's useful. GPT-2 is pretty smoky as well on the image side. That's just been released recently. And that is, we used that yesterday to do some stuff and it was pretty good.
Excellent.
Pretty good.
It's a bit where it's being used more as a toy and a plaything though, isn't it? Where people have
massive bit, isn't it? Yeah. We're getting into Jar Monkey.
Jar Monkey.
It's a Rasta monkey that travels around the world solving various geopolitical problems, Rasta monkey style.
And you can send it off wherever you
goes, Well, he's always on the run from his baby mama. So that's why
half the audience, no, probably smaller percentage of the audience than half are now chuckling, recognising your reference, and the other are just wondering what you're waffling on about.
Just get on Instagram, search him up.
Yeah. I thought you'd come off Instagram.
Oh, I've been lured back in, but I am coming off. I'm coming off.
You got the app on your phone?
Yeah, but it's in a folder at the back called time wasting. But I'm coming off.
So you have to physically go and click time wasting.
So,
but just if you need Instagram, you can go online, and it's a bit clunkier, so it makes you only do it when you need it. Otherwise, you're into doom scrolling, lose an hour before you know it stuff.
I know. I need to get back out of it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like The Godfather. Just when they thought I was out, pulls me back in.
Right. Okay. Have we missed anything?
No. I think the closing thoughts really are that AI is going to amplify what's already there. So if you've got rubbish there, that's what you're going to get back.
But you can use it to
start cleansing that and doing some of those things.
Fill in the gaps,
is it more of a, what is the role that AI is coming in terms of SME organisation? I think some of the roles that we were talking before about project management, we're now using the AI agents to maybe fill some of the functions of those roles.
Especially where it's data-heavy analysis. And even writing the proposals, like we say, it does need a human overlay, of course, but the consolidating lots of information and presenting it neatly for the human to be able to do that is what AI is very, very good at. So, certainly writing the proposals and identifying the project management next steps. But also, like I said earlier, almost jokingly, what's the next deal I should work? Yeah. That's not so far away. And we were trying to do that down at that company in Bristol, that architecture company, wasn't it? Many, many years ago. So just tell me what the one thing is I need to do next. And
I think Holy Grail, isn't it?
The Holy Grail. Well, it's only one step from there to saying, well, do it then.
Yeah.
What's the next most important thing I need to do? Now do it.
Now do it, yeah.
And now what's the next one? Repeat. I'm off on holiday. You carry on doing that. And then all the robots and automated companies can work together and we can all be on holiday.
Or living underground in some sort of dystopian future.
In case the robots come and find us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's probably more likely. Well, that's the classic Huxley.
Are you more scared
Huxley versus
or optimistic about how AI is going to play out?
I'm not scared about it, but I wouldn't say I'm optimistic.
Have I chosen the wrong
I think it's
dichotomy?
going to be very much like how I describe people when people ask me about would you want to live in America, and I would say I think America is probably a fantastic place to live if you're really wealthy, but if you're poor,
Well, even reasonably middle class.
it's quite So if you've got money, America's like a great place to live. You've got lots of
GDP per
stuff.
capita is 30% higher than UK.
But if you're poor, there's no kind of safety net or anything like that. Really, it's
Sure.
kind of you're on your own.
It depends on your position.
And I think that's the way it's going to go with AI. I think the businesses and the companies that really adopt AI are going to be able to leverage it massively, and those ones that don't will probably go to the wall, in all honesty, if we're being blunt about it.
Or have to find a very strong niche.
And then what does that do from a... So I did this thought experiment with ChatGPT a while ago. So, okay, what does the UK look like at... okay, it's 5% unemployment now, so we know what that looks like. What does it look like at 10%?
Yeah.
What does it look at 25%? And you start getting into real kind of societal breakdown because we don't have the...
Yeah, well, we're already close to a limit, surely, where we need, even with the aging population, forget the unemployment bit, because we need enough working people to pay for the pensions of those that are not working.
So I think and I think with all these things, there's always unintended consequences of everything that we don't understand.
But there might be a backlash, a bit like vinyl records coming back again. Or I went to Lisbon recently. Anybody who's been to Lisbon knows that there are 2 shops dedicated to selling tin sardines. And it's because there's a sardine canning factory was about to go out of business, and some local philanthropist said that's a bad thing, that employs 200 people.
Yeah.
And so made a whole thing about the artwork on the can, shops, like I say, dedicated to selling it, and made a play of the fact that this was hand-picked. And they're selling these things at €15 for a tin of stuff that you could get in Sainsbury's for £2. And they're selling them by the bucket load. And it's almost like that, going back to vinyl. I want to spend more knowing that someone has put some effort.
I think there's definitely that will come, isn't there? And I think as well, we're sometimes in a little bit, like we mentioned earlier, in a bit of a bubble with AI. We use it a lot. We see it a lot. We're in HubSpot a lot. Our world is dominated by this kind of AI thing. And then you talk to people who aren't in that world, and they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of this ChatGPT thing, whatever it is.
What's that again? Yeah.
What's that? And then you think, hang on a minute.
I'll close by giving a nod to John if he's listening, because I was away with him recently and I introduced him to Notebook LM, that Google product, and it solved a massive business problem for him. So I gave it loads of information on a very neat bit of tech that he's just invested in through a company, and it came up with a very accessible explanation of a very complicated scientific process, and something that he'd been challenging his team to come up with for weeks, if not longer, and they hadn't been able to boil it down to its essence. And this thing did it straight away. And he bought me lunch on the back of it. And I felt kind of guilty that actually that's Google that's earned that credit by creating this product. All I've done is use it.
You're the gatekeeper, though.
Well, that's how I guess people make money, right?
You're the AI.
I just said, this is out there and free. Just use it like this. Boom. And he thought, this is amazing. And so thanks, John. So anyway, there you go. That's our little summary of where we think AI is at the moment, and we try and keep everybody up to date with it all. But in essence, there's a load of it out there, and just start using some of it, but be careful. And especially around the CRMs, it can really leverage your capabilities. So good stuff. Thank you very much. Thank you again for listening to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, please tell us about it. If you haven't, tell us. And in the meantime, good luck with your business.